Welcome back to the show today. We are talking about foul baiting in the NBA, which I guess in some ways can also be considered flopping. It's when you play the game of basketball when your first priority is ensuring that you are fouled in a basketball play. Then your secondary priority is scoring a basket, which may sound like a counterintuitive way to play basketball. You'd probably think the best way to play is score a bucket first. Then maybe you get an and one at the end, just as a little reward at the end of your incredible basketball play. But that's not the case anymore. For a lot of players, it's not enough to just get a basket. They've got to get a couple free throws. They got to give the opposing team another foul. They're not being greedy either, they're just maximizing profits. They're just making the most of every opportunity. Foul baiting is actually the most effective way to play the game. So I really can't be upset when Trae Young causes the game to come to a screeching halt every time he goes up for a jumper or a layup, or that Joel Embiid is getting a side dish of free throws with every field goal attempt. Blame the NBA and the refs for shaping the game that creates this type of thing.
Count it. Free throw for Trae Young.
Very limited offensive rebound.
Trae. Oh, Young. Trae Young and a foul on Chicago.
Out of balance.
So let's talk about initiating contact. This is a very hot topic because some NBA players believe creating contact as an offensive player can only be done if the defender is in an illegal guarding position. I've talked about this before, but the best example is the rip through. This is when the offensive player notices that the defender is in an illegal position. He goes up for a shot that has literally no chance of going in, but it is a shot nonetheless. So the ref has to call it a shooting foul. So the offensive player goes to the line for some free throws. It sucks. Now I know I talked about this last time, but I gotta bring up Chris Paul. I said that he was the king of grifting when it came to those fake fouls. But then I got fed another video after my research that actually kind of changed my mind.
I promise you we talk about the rip through. Should it be a foul?
How do they teach when a ball screen comes, Bubs? Jump into the ball. For me, like, I actually play defense. And I played defense for a long time. I know how to guard a guy without putting my arm in there. We get paid a lot of money to watch a lot of games. And you mean to tell me on the damn scouting report, it's not on there that I'm going to do the rip through? Like, I initially even said that about the James thing, right? The driving and, guys reaching in there. Don't reach in there.
I understand what he's saying. He's saying that the defender has his hand in the wrong position. They're supposed to be playing defense with their body, but they're using their hands to cut off the angle. And technically, that angle is in the space of the offensive player when he moves into it. He's entitled to that space, so the defender, I guess, is liable for the foul. So I gotta say, it's a sound argument, but that doesn't mean that this is not ugly basketball. We also talked about the James Harden arm tangle that CP3 just alluded to. So let's revisit that and actually analyze if James Harden is doing anything wrong. Maybe this is an actual legit basketball move. Here's one of the first instances where James Harden did the arm tangle. Josh Hart tries to come in and steal the ball from behind. Seems fine to me. Then James sees him coming. He baits him into attempting to steal the ball by dribbling the ball with his left hand once, then crossing over to the right hand. Hart comes in and gotcha. You just fouled James Harden, rookie Josh Hart. What were you thinking? Here's Luke Walton coming in to try to explain what happened to the ref. I think the ref knows exactly what happened, and he's telling him. If he gets his arm into that space, it's James Harden's right to make contact with him. And then it's up to Josh Hart to withdraw his hand from the cookie jar before Harden creates the contact. Right or wrong, this is a bad product when it comes to an entertainment perspective. I don't know about you, but I'm not interested in debating the right one player has in fabricating a scenario that would have never happened organically. Now here's an example that I think is just a full-on flop. Paul George is playing good defense. He's not reaching in at all. Harden then puts his hand behind Paul George's back. The refs just blew this one. Even watching in normal speed, this is egregious. Luckily, the rip-through rule in 2023 eliminated a lot of this type of act. Thank God. But even this season, we're seeing a lot of foul baiting in the NBA and amongst a lot of the most popular and well-liked players in the league. I'm sorry, Oklahoma City fans, but your boy Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a foul baiter. If you're watching your team, you know it's true. We've got the classic head snap. Anthony Edwards comes in, maybe bumps his chest a little bit. Certainly wouldn't warrant this type of motion from SGA. But the main thing I see Shai do is fall down. And I know he's not the only one, but man, does he spend a lot of time on the ground. Now, a lot of these are bull. Both the refs and Shai should be ashamed of some of these. But I do have to say, Shai does get fouled legitimately a lot. I think he's a frustrating player to guard, so he gets a lot of frustration fouls on him. And he also has a style of offense that makes it really easy for him to get fouled. Both him and his teammate Jalen Williams drive their shoulders into their opponent when they're trying to get into the lane. They're creating contact. Shai beats his man, and now the defender is behind him. Shai is now facing the basket for an easy bucket while touching the defender from behind. He never avoids contact or loses his defender completely. He's used to scoring with the defender hanging on him. His weapon is his speed and getting to his spot. And once he's beat his defender, they're better off just backing off, letting him score, lest they take on another personal foul. Now, let's take a look at the guy who is leading the league in free throw attempts this year and try to figure out if he's really getting beat up or if he's just playing the victim. Right now, leading the league in free throw attempts is actually Anthony Davis. He's got a lot more than everyone else, and he's played less games since he hurt his foot. So let's take a look and see how AD is making it to the line so frequently. Okay, here's an and one from the Lakers opening night. Anthony Davis goes shoulder first into Anthony Edwards, who is helping on Anthony Davis. This is not Anthony Edwards' man. It's getting confusing. But Ant is the one who actually initiates the contact here. He holds his hands up like this. Look at me. I'm in legal guarding position. Nothing to see here. But he lunges forward to make the contact. Then AD makes the shot after the contact is made. I don't see any foul baiting here. Davis is a beast and Edwards gets the foul. Here's another one against the Suns. He's backing down Iguodala, who can't seem to keep his feet planted. AD loses control, gets it back, and goes up for the shot. He gets swatted at by Royce O'Neal, but I think Iguodala actually gets the foul called on. For leaning into AD as he shoots, he steps into his space. Maybe you think this wasn't a foul. Well, even if it wasn't, one thing is for sure, AD is just going up strong. He's not trying to draw contact. As a matter of fact, in my investigation of AD, I've noticed he plays like a foul baiter, but he doesn't finish the play like a foul baiter. He doesn't really flail or fall down. So there were a lot of highlights that I thought he actually could have got a foul if he leaned into the contract and exaggerated his reaction. So I'm gonna say for the most part, AD isn't a baiter. So we, of course, gotta talk about Luka and Embiid. I'm assuming most of you would consider these guys the league's biggest foul grifters. Maybe you think it's Tatum. Maybe you think it's Brunson. You wouldn't be wrong either way. But Luka and Embiid have definitely earned their spots as the most sensitive to contact players in the NBA. Embiid isn't playing and he's not really relevant right now. Sorry, Sixers fans. So let's take a look at some of Luka's examples. The main technique that I find most frustrating about Luka's game, and a lot of players do this, Luka by no means is the only one, it's the lunge into the defender technique when he's shooting. I'm really disappointed in refs for calling these. It's clear to me that Luka is bumping his ribs into the defense and contorting his body in a weird way so it looks like he was knocked off balance. It's impressive. I'm not saying it's not. I'm also saying I'm not a ref, and it's probably hard to distinguish in the moment what a foul is. But I have to assume at some point, players like Trae, Embiid, and Luka are gonna stop getting these calls, because over time, these techniques are gonna become easier and easier to recognize. If you compare those AD fouls to these Luka fouls, they really don't look anything alike. Luka looks completely unnatural, and I understand why players deploy these techniques. It's sort of if you can't beat them, join them mentality. Knowing how to trick a ref into believing that he saw something that he didn't is a skill that's gonna give you as an offensive player a couple more inches to operate. Guys don't wanna rack up fouls. Like it or not, foul baiting is a skill. It's not easy. It's kind of like close-up magic if you think about it. And the way the game is being called now, it's necessary. So what I'd like to see is refs stop calling fouls if there's any indication that the offensive player initiated the contact. I don't think it should be the defensive player's job to get out of the way of the offensive player. And the reason I feel this way is because this is ruining the game for me. And then when you add the time it takes for a coach's challenge when a play like this happens, I can kind of understand why people aren't enjoying watching NBA games. All right, thank you for being here. Thank you so much for liking the videos. The channel is doing really well because y'all is liking videos, so keep those coming if you can. Leave a comment. This was definitely a suggestion. I'll have to figure out where it was. It was one of the past videos, but I always reply to every comment and suggestion. So I love the community in this channel. So be good to your mothers. Eat a corn dog.